Hi, I'm Dallas from the Traction E-Reg. I'm here with Barry from Cross Training Enduro. We got into a discussion today and we're trying to figure out, are adventure riders different than dirt riders? Are dirt riders different than trials riders? We're going to have an open discussion and raise some questions and see what happens.
This is a really interesting topic. I can only speak from my very brief experience on this planet, but adventure riders and dirt riders, not necessarily a big difference. Adventure riders tend to be older. I'd say at a guess, they're a little bit wealthier. They have to be to afford the fucking expensive bikes. But they do seem roughly to be cut from the same cloth. Don't know about Canada though.
I would say that in Canada, adventure riders seem to have a different culture than off-road dirt riders. And not that I've moved around in a lot of disciplines, but I have experienced a culture shift every time I do make that dive into a different discipline. How about you?
Yeah, look, that's a really interesting point because I think we're talking stereotypes, and there's always a bit of truth to a stereotype, but there's the variety as well. So, yeah, I do notice a difference when I move between all these various disciplines of riding. And I noticed with adventure riding in Australia, you've definitely got your stereotypical BMW GS crowd where they just go from coffee shop to coffee shop, and the biggest adventure is actually buying the latest GPS or electronic paraphernalia to enhance their almost digital riding experience. But we have some seriously hardcore guys who are almost enduro riding on their adventure bikes, and they're keeping it, yeah, single cylinder, fairly light. They carry minimal luggage. They're going to go out camping 7 nights, and those guys are pretty hardcore. So we've got a huge variety, and it does get a little bit harder to try and generate a stereotype, at least in Australia.
We have all the same segments in adventure riding. Um, we have the group that spends most of their time on the pavement or tarmac. We've got the guys that are hardcore as well. They seem more underground, and I think everyone aspires to be those guys. I feel like adventure riding can be summed up with percentages because adventure riders seem to talk with percentages all the time. We're like a tire. I'm 80-20, I'm 20-40, I'm 50-50, I'm 60-40, whatever. And I feel like the rider themselves can be sort of, how much on road to off road, and that will almost dictate what type of rider they are.
Look, that's interesting because yeah, it's all about spectrum nowadays, isn't it? And you know, what kind of rider do you identify as? You know, LGBTQRSP, MNO. I I can never remember. But yeah, there is a lot of diversity in it, and that's why I'm actually not so keen on your stereotypes. I do enjoy making fun, especially of the BMW riders. Yeah, it's a pretty broad group.
It's funny that you mentioned spectrum because my doctor keeps mentioning that word in context with me, and I can't figure out why everyone's always talking about spectrum. Uh, Back to adventure riding, we have all the same groups, all the same segments. Of course, everyone likes to hack on every other group, even within. And this may be why motorcyclists they'll defeat themselves. Nobody hates a motorcyclist like another motorcyclist. It's like if you ride a BMW or if you ride a KTM, you're arch enemies, even though you both ride two wheels and everyone's trying to kill you.
Oh man, don't get me started. Just I've often thought, that the motorbike riding community is a bit like a microcosm of the world, and you've got all these religious conflicts and civil wars and so on. And we've got the same shit happening in the motorbike community: two-stroke versus four-stroke. Hardcore adventure riders versus the highway cruising beamer crowd. It just Goes on and on. Brand loyalty, you name it. As long as people stay pretty lighthearted about it.
You haven't even mentioned oil or tires.
Let's do oil and tires.
We could have tribal warfare over rubber and oil resources.
Oh, it's already happening here in Australia.
Yeah, no, same here, same here. Global conflict from tribal warriors over oil and rubber. I would love to hear what you think of our discussion. Do you think there is different characteristics with every discipline in motorcycles? Are there more eggheads riding Harleys? Are there more masculinity in trials? Please let us know in the comments below, because we'd love to hear what you got to say.